This course will teach students how to effectively communicate their teaching materials through words and images, how to use audio to describe visuals, how to avoid overwhelming learners with extraneous media effects, how to design examples and practice exercises that develop new skills, and how to effectively use networked collaborative facilities for learning. In this chapter, you will learn about choosing resources, evaluating resources, managing resources, and open source software. Equipping schools with necessary ICT resources can be a very daunting prospect, and in the not-too-distant past, it was very much a hit-and-miss affair. Many software titles were not particularly suitable for a number of reasons, not least of which was that they did not closely match the learning objectives of the national curriculum. Much has changed in the last 5 years. Software houses have become much more savvy. Many are in tune with education and utilize the skills of teachers and other professionals in the design process. With careful evaluation, schools will find a plentiful and ever-increasing supply of appropriate and cost-effective resources. In fact, there are now so many options to choose from it can be difficult to know where to begin. How would you choose your core ICT resources? Here are some suggestions. Establish an all-round staff awareness of the types of resource available and their possible benefits. This is primarily the responsibility of the ICT coordinator. Remember, it isn't just about software. There are many other resources. Note that specific products and software titles should not be considered at this stage. Draw up a list of candidate resource types. Some resources will provide better value for money than others because of their versatility. Resources which can be used across the curriculum as a useful teaching aid and for administration and management. For example, interactive whiteboards, content-free software, digital cameras, and office applications. These items may perhaps be construed as more important than others. Again, don't worry about specific products yet. Draw up a short list, prioritizing items in terms of their importance. Example: essential, important, desirable. Items which serve more than one area or more than one curriculum subject will be placed toward the top of the list. Now look at specific products and cost them. Revise the list to suit your budget. You can spread the cost over time and phase in resources in accordance with your ICT development plan. Don't forget that there are many free resources to be found, including shared activities from resources banks and open source software. Evaluate each item to assure its suitability. Evaluating resources before committing to buy is a sensible thing to do. It may seem tedious, yet it could save you a good deal of money and lots of frustration too. If you buy something that's unsuitable, you'll need to go through the whole process again. The easiest approach to evaluation is to get someone else to do it for you. You might, for example, get a good recommendation from a colleague or consult with other schools to see if any of them are using your intended resources to good effect. They may be willing to loan resources to you or agree to share the cost of purchase whilst you jointly carry out trials. Lending libraries may well loan software too. You should always pay a visit to the team website, Teachers Evaluating Educational Multimedia, at www.team.org.uk. They provide free access to a searchable database of resources which have been evaluated extensively by practicing teachers. This will certainly help you to choose suitable software and CDROMs. They also provide a downloadable guide and other useful publications too. There are a number of other sites which provide evaluation, including SchoolZone, www.schoolzone.co.uk. They have derived a set of quality principles which relate to the use of digital resources, and they are divided into. Teachers in the are being taught how to use core pedagogic principles, which underpin effective learning and teaching. These principles include match to the curriculum, inclusion and access, learner engagement, effective learning, assessment, ease of use and innovation. Core design principles include good design, robustness, interaction, quality of assets, accessibility, interoperability, effective communication and pre-testing. Core design principles cover issues such as resource design, accessibility, and interoperability. Managing resources, total cost of ownership. The purchasing, review, and updating of ICT resources should be part and parcel of the management cycle. You will need to keep a record of the costs of your current assets and those you intend purchasing in the future in accordance with your ICT development plan. This is referred to as the total cost of ownership, and it is something you will be required to do. Forecasting costs over a period of several years, known as long-term costing, will provide a good illustration of the future ICT position of the school. It will allow you to build in depreciation in terms of cost, changes to the curriculum, and developments in technology, so that you can see when each of the resources will need to be replaced or upgraded. It will also give you some indication as to how meaningful your medium and long-term development plans are. Software licensing. Software licensing is quite simple, but it can easily catch you out if you are not careful. You need to be licensed for each machine onto which your software title is installed. Some will allow a backup copy of the CD-ROM to be made, and some will allow software to be installed on staff machines in their office or at home without paying for additional licenses. Some software is paid for by annual subscription. You need to ensure that you renew your subscription each year. If your subscription is paid automatically, perhaps by your budget holder or bursar, then make sure that you still use it. If not, cancel the subscription and save yourself a pile of money. Resource guide. They are useful documents to aid planning, and they will help with the management process too, because they are an extension to the resources inventory, telling you where the resources are and how they can be used. Open source software allows its users to run the program, but also to modify it and redistribute copies without having to pay royalties to its developers. Such programs do not follow the commercial copyright law, and, in fact, the principle of open source software has itself given rise to the term copyleft. For some time now, we have become conditioned to using proprietary software, particularly the very familiar packages like MS Office. Is it time to start thinking outside the box? The most obvious answer to this question is because it's free and, unlike other free products, it comes with no strings attached. In addition, you can access the source code. This means that, unlike commercial packages which allow you only to run the compiled code, you can get into the original instructions and make modifications in order to adapt the software to your own needs. The skeptic in most of us will naturally question why anyone would want to spend time developing programs in order to provide us with free software. Well, that's a debate in itself, and you may wish to research it in more detail yourself. Obtaining a free software package is all well and good, but this amounts to little unless it is comparable, or better, than its commercial counterparts. Advantages of open source software. 1. Lower software cost. 2. Simplified license management. 3. Lower hardware cost. 4. Total cost of ownership. 5. Scaling, consolidation potential. 6. Ample support. 7. Escape vendor lock-in. 8. Quality software. 9. Adaptability. 10. Security. Concerns of open source software. 1. Open source isn't really free. 2. There's no service and support. 3. Development resources are scarce. 4. Open source is not secure. 5. Training is not available. 6. All open source is a work in progress.